The dirty war in Argentina saw 30,000 people killed or imprisoned by their own government, and somehow this dark chapter of history became the backdrop for one of Hollywood's most unexpected musicals. Let me tell you about the new Kiss of the Spider-Woman adaptation.
That's such a bold choice to turn such serious source material into a musical. How does it handle that delicate balance?
Well, it's fascinating because the film operates on multiple levels. You've got this intimate prison drama between two cellmates, Molina, this gay window dresser played by Tonatiu, and Valentin, a political revolutionary, played by Diego Luna. Their dynamic is immediately charged with tension.
Tell me more about how they develop that relationship within such a politically charged setting.
So here's where it gets interesting. Molina is actually planted there by the warden to spy on Valentin, but he uses these elaborate stories about his favorite films to build a connection. The genius is in how Tonatiu portrays this character who's essentially performing multiple roles: spy, storyteller, and eventually genuine friend.
That must create some incredibly complex emotional moments between them.
Oh, it does. And what's really compelling is how Diego Luna transforms Valentin from this hardened revolutionary into someone who actually allows himself to be vulnerable. But, and here's where things get complicated, the film tries to weave in this whole musical element with Jennifer Lopez playing dual roles as both a magazine publisher and the mysterious Spider-Woman.
You know, that's quite different from the 1985 version that won William Hurt his Oscar. How does this new interpretation hold up?
Well, that's where we run into some issues. Despite having Bill Condon, who wrote Chicago, at the helm, the musical elements feel disconnected from the political drama. It's like watching two different movies fighting for attention.
So the intimate prison story works better than the musical numbers?
Exactly. When we're focused on Molina and Valentin in their cell, the film really comes alive. There's this beautiful metaphor about how stories can help us process reality, even in the darkest circumstances. But then we shift to these elaborate musical sequences that just don't carry the same weight.
That's fascinating how even with some missteps, the core story still resonates.
You know what's really interesting? The way they handle the political context. They don't shy away from showing the brutality of the regime, which gives every interaction between Molina and Valentin this underlying tension. Every conversation could literally be a matter of life and death.
That must add so many layers to their growing friendship.
It really does, and Tonatiu's performance captures all those complexities. He brings this incredible vulnerability to Molina, while still maintaining this sense of flamboyance. That's almost like armor. When that armor starts to crack, it's really powerful stuff.
How does the film balance the personal story with the larger political narrative?
That's actually one of its stronger aspects. The personal betrayals mirror the political ones, and even though the musical elements don't quite work, you can see what they were trying to do. Use art as a way to process trauma and find connection in impossible circumstances.
It sounds like despite its flaws, it's still contributing something meaningful to the conversation.
That's exactly right. While it might only score a 6 out of 10, and I'd still recommend people watch the 1985 version first, there's something valuable about seeing how these themes of identity, politics, and human connection resonate in a contemporary context. Sometimes the attempt to tell these stories in new ways is just as interesting as getting everything perfect.
And perhaps that's what keeps these important stories alive, finding new ways to tell them for each generation.
You know, that's really what it comes down to. Even when certain elements don't quite work, the core story about human connection in the face of political oppression remains incredibly powerful. It's a reminder that sometimes the most important stories are the ones we keep trying to tell, even if we don't always get it exactly right. Finally, I'd like to suggest revisiting the 1985 film, or visiting it for the first time. If you haven't before, it would be worthwhile. This version scores a 6 out of 10.
You've been listening to Movies First.
Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favourite podcast player. You can also stream on demand at Bytes.com.
This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.